I'm Karen Borda. Thank you for joining us today on Plugged Into DFW. Would you describe yourself as polite and having manners? Do you know when it's appropriate to use the little fork at the restaurant or when to put your cell phone away? Well, this morning we are talking about etiquette and what is good etiquette and behavior. Many of us have never had any formal lessons in this kind of thing, yet some believe having proper manners is vital to getting ahead. My guest this morning is going to set us up for success. She is a modern manners and etiquette expert, owner of the Protocol School of Texas, and author of the new book, Modern Etiquette for a Better Life, Master All Social and Business Exchanges. Please welcome to the show, Diane Gottsman. Good morning. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Good morning.
So why does having good etiquette matter? Why is it vital?
Because etiquette is simply the rules of behavior. So it's important to make other people feel comfortable to be around you, or you're not going to gain their trust. It's all about being authentic, being relatable, and being real.
I think so many people think that it's a thing of the past. I mean, that's what your mother did or your grandmother did, and it's not necessary in today's world. But let's start with the basics, such as greeting someone. What should you do when you first meet someone?
So talking about the things of the past, you know, there were rules that were at the time appropriate, and then they are updated for today. And so what you do when you meet someone is you greet with your feet. We were taught in earlier years that little girls stay seated and little boys stand up for an introduction. And so now everyone stands up because it shows respect for yourself and the other person. So women, you know, every woman, every lady that's listening to this segment needs to know that they stand up when they meet someone, look them in the eyes, smile. You know, you have to be able to smile and smile authentically. When you meet someone and you decide whether or not you like them or not, it's based on these little subtleties that we don't even think about. It's that smile. Is that a genuine smile or is it a forced smile? Did they stand up or not? Now, you're not going to think, Karen, oh, Diane didn't stand up, or she did stand up. But what you're going to think is, there's something about her I like.
Right, exactly. It's kind of a subconscious thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that, too, when you do that, when everybody stands up, it kind of promotes a sense of equality between the sexes, the genders.
And especially in business, men and women are equal in every way. So, again, if the man stands up and the woman sits down, and it's not a competition. It's not about being aggressively competitive, but we must be competitive in the work world. You know, we all hold the same power.
And I'm not sure if Tyra Banks is the one who coined this phrase, but smiling with your eyes. Yeah. I think that's what I try to tell my children, is that it's got to reach up here. If it doesn't, then it's not a genuine thing. It is like a pasted, phony smile.
That's how you can tell. You know, have you ever met someone and they have that pursed lip smile that's very hello, and they never part their teeth. They never part their lips. So you need to be able to count that other person's teeth, believe it or not. Now, not that I want you to count their teeth, because you'll get distracted. But when you smile and you open your mouth to smile, your lips move. You know, so your facial expression is different.
And what about shaking hands? You say that you've got to start with your feet by standing up.
Yes.
But what about shaking hands? I know that, you know, years ago, you know, the women would, you know, extend their hand and they would shake hands like this, or
that's a big no. So, and again, it's updated, you know, updated manners. So years ago, you would wait, the man would wait for the woman to extend her hand to shake hands. So from this point on, you never wait. Whoever extends their hand first has the power. And by the word power, I mean respect, confidence, security, as opposed to insecurity. So you want to give a firm grip, but not aggressive. So in other words, you don't want to squeeze someone's hand so tight it hurts.
They'll crush their bones.
Bone crusher is what we call it. And you don't want to give a limp fish handshake, because that just feels like you're holding on to a fish. Yeah. So the handshakes you avoid are the limp fish, the bone cruncher, the two-fisted shake. You know, when you shake someone's hand and double fist it, that's reserved for families, friends, and funerals.
Okay.
And then, of course, the fist bump. Yes. Now, that is a greeting that you would give to someone that you know very well, that double-fisted shake. Okay. But the best handshake to give is, there's this little fold of skin we have between the index finger and the thumb, and you make that connection right here. And it's a firm grip, but not overbearing, and you shake 3 times and disengage. And you want to make sure that your fingers curl all the way around. So if you extend your hand to shake my hand, see how you almost gave me this finger right here? You extend it all the way around, shake hands.
Okay. And you mentioned fist bump a second ago. Yay, nay?
No.
Okay.
No. You know, if you're
Howie Mandel has got an issue with
germs.
Yes.
With germs. But you know, generally speaking, if you fist bump your client, unless they fist bump you first, that's going to be a no.
Right. Right.
Now, do friends do it? You know, do people on the field do it? You know, on the sports field?
Right.
There's a situation that might be appropriate if you're friends and if it's very casual, but that is not the official greeting.
A lot of people talk about dining when talking about etiquette, so let's touch on that. How important is it to understand the place setting?
So important. Beyond important. And the reason why is because when we're not sure of what to do, so you can look at that place setting and you always eat from the outside in. When you're not sure where your water glass is, you have this deer in the headlights look. Or if you don't know which is your bread plate, you don't know where to put your bread, and you're eating from your client's bread plate and you're drinking from a girlfriend's, you know, water glass. And they may or may not know. So if you know the rules, it's kind of like a dance. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it, and you don't have that distracted look, because if I'm wondering what I'm supposed to do, I'm not really listening to you. I'm not thinking about what you're saying.
So why is it that people should care about what other people think at the dinner table?
Well, because we all should care. You know, now when you hear someone say, well, I don't care what people think about me, that's an indicator that those magic words, I don't care. We don't want to surround ourselves with people who don't care. Now, I'm not talking about being artificial, but we should care what people think, because second interviews are conducted over a meal. The reason why that recruiter cares is because they want to see how you're going to behave in front of their best client. They want to see how you treat the wait staff, because the way you treat the wait staff is just as important as how you treat a neighbor, a friend, or a client.
Okay, there are so many things I still want to talk about, but we do have to take a break. But these are such great tips. Coming up, a lot of you are going to be taking summer vacation soon. Well, we've got some etiquette tips on being the perfect guest, plus the rules for tipping while on vacation. Plus, millennials, listen up. We've got tips just for you on using social media and the importance of image. And we would like to hear from you. If you've got a community issue or concern, send us an email. Our address is plugged in to dfw@cbs.com, and we'll do our best to address your items every week. Welcome back. We are talking about the rules of etiquette this morning with modern manners and etiquette expert Diane Gottsman. Now, Diane's new book is out right now with lots of helpful etiquette tips. Modern Etiquette for a Better Life. Master all social and business exchanges. And we're talking about the how-tos of appropriate behavior this morning. And we were just talking about eating and dining etiquette. Are there any foods that we should avoid when out on a date or perhaps a business lunch?
So many. So the first thing that you should avoid is spaghetti. And the reason why is because it's messy. And what happens is we use our spoon, use our fork, twirl, 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 and we have this mound of spaghetti. And then we have to shove that spaghetti in our mouth. So a better option would be rigatoni, some kind of bow tie pasta, something small that we can use a fork and bring to our mouth. And by the way, men keep their ties down. You know, they don't fling it over their shoulder, and women do not put their napkin in their blouse or their dress to protect themselves. So you stay away from corn on the cob. Corn on the cob is another difficult to eat food. Anything messy like sloppy joes, cheesy nachos, and one of the worst is French onion soup, because it's difficult to eat.
It is.
So you want to, when you're ordering, you want to order a soup over a salad. And I will tell you that salads are the worst, because we know that kale, spinach, any type of lettuce leaf or leaf is going to get stuck in our teeth.
Absolutely.
It's going to happen. And those little cherry tomatoes are like little time bombs ready to go off. You're going to spear
They
that.
splurt in every direction.
They're going to go all over the place. And we know it's going to happen. So you think in advance of what you're going to eat. By the way, before you get to the table, you don't arrive, whether you're the host or the guest, you don't arrive hungry, because you want to pay attention to the person across from you. You do not want to be concerned about your stomach growling so loud. So you eat a power bar or eat a snack before you arrive when it's a really important event or meal.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, because you do want to pay attention. You don't want the focus to be on the food. You want it to be on the conversation. Now, let's talk about summer and folks going on vacation. A lot of people have holiday plans. What can we do to ensure that we're a good house guest and perhaps don't overstay our welcome?
That's the first thing. Don't overstay your welcome. You want to arrive when you say you're going to arrive. You want to leave when you say you're going to leave. Do not show up with a surprise. That means a surprise pet, an extra child, perhaps your friend wanted to bring 2 of their best friends. You know, let your hosts know what to expect in advance. That also means if you have an allergy or if one of your children has an allergy, let them know so the host isn't preparing all of these wonderful foods that they can't eat. So arrive with something in hand, meaning a hostess gift, whether it's in your suitcase or you get them something, you know, once you're there. But always do something special and then jump in. Get into their home routines, which means that if they wake up early with them. If they want to cook breakfast and have it at 8 o'clock, you be prepared to help as well. That also means keeping your room clean, pick up the wet towels off the floor. You know, all of these things that make a difference when you have a guest and you feel like, oh gosh, if they would only do. You know, that's what we have to do when we arrive at someone's home.
It's do unto others.
That's right. And don't show up with multiple suitcases and they don't know where to put you or the suitcases.
Right.
And, you know, rent your own car.
Right.
Don't expect to be entertained. I mean, I could go on and on. There's a lot of things we can do, but just think about that other person and making our host comfortable and glad that they invited us.
Okay, let's talk about tipping. If you're going to stay at a hotel, who should we tip?
I like to say that anyone that touches your luggage, you need to tip because that's an easy way to remember. So now, you're right. People are thinking right now, that's a lot of money. But when you budget for a vacation, you also budget for gratuity. Because when the person that helps you and takes all of your luggage out of the car and wheels it up to the front, they receive some type of gratuity. You know, that just might be a couple of dollars because it's just from the car to the front counter where you check in. The bellman gets $1 to $2 per bag. The concierge, if they just point you in a direction, certainly you're just going to say thank you. But if they get you hard to acquire tickets or a reservation that you just couldn't get into, or a theater, or you know, something that's difficult, you want to start at 5, 10, 20, and upwards, depending on how difficult that, you know, that effort was.
How do you do that, though, without appearing gauche? You know, here's a 20 for your trouble.
Well, that's what a concierge expects.
Okay.
And I don't mean that they're entitled. But they know that, you know, they are going to get some kind of compensation because that's part of their job.
What about housekeeping?
You cannot forget the housekeeper. That's really important. Every day, leave them $3 to $5. And of course, if you're staying in a really elegant hotel, you're going to probably want to leave them more. When you're traveling, you know, to another state and it's very upscale, you're going to use your best judgment. But you don't want to pay at the end of your stay because every day housekeepers change.
Will change.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay, $3 to $5 a day for that. We always worry about that. Now, sometimes you book a vacation and it states gratuity included. Do you tip anyway?
If you would like, you should. If they have done something over, beyond, and above, and you feel like, should I, then you should. You know, if the question is in your head and you want to do it, go ahead and do it. Is it obligatory? No, it's not.
All right. Well, it is time for another break. Coming up, protecting the right image, or projecting it, I should say, and protecting the tools of the trade to ensure your online presence matches your persona. Plus, rules to live by, etiquette tips not to forget. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Polite behavior and manners are particularly important when we're trying to make a good impression. This morning, we're talking about the rules of etiquette and manners with etiquette expert Diane Gottsman. So how important is it to stash the technology when you are at a meeting, maybe dinner or a job interview?
It's really important. And the reason why is that technology is a distraction. Certainly, you do not want your phone going off during a job interview or an important meeting. And you don't want to take a call because what happens is I'm looking down and looking away from you. So that's a barrier, that's a distraction. And what it says to you is that my time, or the person on this end, you know, this piece of technology is more important than what's happening in front of me.
Yeah, I would think that if you're a prospective employer, I mean, that would absolutely be the impression.
That's going to be a red flag if you're interviewing for a job, and even if it's in your purse and it's on vibrate. So you need to turn it off. Just turn it off, put it away. Do not walk in carrying a cell phone. And that's to cocktail parties, dinners, corporate events, social events. How many times do we go to a restaurant and we see people in their own conversations. You know, there's 2 people or 3 people, and everybody has their phones, and they're not paying attention.
I know sometimes, I mean, I'm guilty of that sometimes, where I will walk into a situation if I'm not, as it's a crutch.
Yes.
You know, it's something that, you know, it's my whoopee, you know, if you will. So, but I can see if you're having a face-to-face discussion with someone, if you're, you absolutely give a negative impression.
Sometimes there are times where we need that phone. You know, you're in a position, you're a doctor, you're in some kind of situation where you're going to need to check that phone. You're waiting for an important call. So you're going to say, you know, Karen, I'm waiting for a call. As soon as I get it, I'm going to excuse myself briefly and just do it, take the call, and then come back to the table. But you really want to minimize that as much as possible. And certainly if you're invited to a dinner party, or a lunch, you know, or any kind of event where there's a table, take it off the table unless it's absolutely possible. Keys, glasses, and cell phones do not belong on the table.
So everyone is online using social media these days. Is there a rule of thumb that we should defer to when trying to decide whether or not to post something?
If you have to wonder, you shouldn't do it. You know, when in doubt, don't. And so what happens is when we post an event of any kind, or we post where we are, we always run the risk of hurting someone's feelings. If someone invited you, they didn't invite another person. So you always should ask before you post. And it's so important, even weddings, social events, you always want to get the approval of whoever invited you. Plus, you don't want to tag someone or post if it's not a good picture, not a flattering picture.
Right. And I would imagine, too, I used to tell my kids, you know, if you don't want it on the cover of the New York Times, don't post it, because once you do, it's out there forever.
Don't post it. And, you know, there are certain social media rules that we just really must abide by. And the first is you don't post other people's children without their consent. You don't rant on social media. If you have something really negative to say, and I know, you know, this is counterintuitive because there's so many things going on, you know, right now in our world. But you really need to be careful, because not everybody may agree with everything you say. And if I am upset with you in particular about something, I should call you. I should contact you personally and not put it on social media.
So what is the best way to use social media to promote a positive image then?
You know, social media is so important in a positive way, period, because it's really very helpful. Employers go to your social media account and look to see who you are, because that's a pretty good example of what we believe. So to give it a positive and authentic slant, you know, put things that you do that are community-minded. You know, there are opportunities that you volunteer. Talk about links to different sites that you enjoy reading. You know, offer good information. So there's a lot of things we can do with social media that are really beneficial. And then there are other things on social media we can do to shoot ourselves in the foot.
Exactly. And that's one thing to avoid if at all possible. It is time for another break. Coming up, etiquette tips that never go out of style. You definitely want to hang around for these. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We've been talking about the rules of etiquette this morning, and my guest is modern manners and etiquette expert Diane Gottsman. So etiquette is suggestive of what's appropriate behavior, and as society changes, things that might have been offensive years ago are now okay. How do we keep up?
We have to be alert. So the way that we keep up is just to be informed. And you know what's interesting, there were some things years ago that were acceptable that are not acceptable today. For example, smoking in someone's home. You know, you wouldn't have thought twice about doing that many, many years ago, and today you wouldn't think about doing it. So it's just about what is appropriate. What's appropriate is what makes others comfortable to be around you.
Now, there are a few etiquette tips that you say never go out of style. Let's talk about those briefly. Thank you notes.
Everyone loves to know that they are appreciated. And so taking the time to write a thank you note, handwritten with your own feelings, you know, your personal feelings, rather than
on
a text
piece of paper
or an email. Yes. Now,
Okay.
you know, I think emails are great, and don't get me wrong, I love getting a thank you by text if I, you know, just to see somebody pop up on my phone. But an email, a thank you note is much more personal, it's much more formal, and everyone should invest in some beautiful stationery. Have it on hand and ready.
Yeah, that never gets old.
That's right.
Now, what about being fully engaged? Talk to us about that.
It's so important just to be there. You know, if I'm sitting in front of someone, or if there's multiple people around me, just focus on those people or that one person and not think about where I'm going next, what I'm going to do, who I'm going to meet, what I need, you know, where I need my grocery list. So just listen more than you speak. You are a fabulous conversationalist when you speak less, listen more, and ask questions, thoughtful questions from the person or people that you're talking to.
But you have to be, engaged is the right word, because you have to be paying attention to what it is they're saying, and you really do have to be interested.
Yes.
And it's so hard in today's society when we're all multitasking and we're all thinking, like you said, in a million different directions.
And it's life, you know, that's the way it has to go, except that we really can, when we are with someone, we need to focus on that person, because we've all had this happen where we just say something and that person then asks the same question that I just answered, and it's just that awkward moment. And etiquette is about taking away awkward moments.
Now, you mentioned thank you notes. What about gifts of gratitude?
So gifts of gratitude means, you know, certainly for holidays and special events, but even just because. So if you have a client and you see something that you know they would like, you know they collect, just a small token or gesture would be great to send them. Same with friends and family. But, you know, when you're sending something from your business to someone else, you don't want to litter it with your logo all over it. That means that you can place your logo, but it should be strategic and it should be discreet. Because, really, how many times do we get something and then we think, I want to like it, but what am I going to do with it? So I think it's important when you give a gift of gratitude, meaning a thank you gift or an acknowledgement, you think about that other person.
Now, must we always RSVP?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And RSVP never will go out of style. And that's because the host wants to know whether you're showing up or not. Right. You have 48 hours. You do not have a week or 2 weeks or a month to shop your options and to see who else is going to invite you to something better. So an RSVP, or RSVPing to an event, shows you that I'm interested in you and making your event a success.
Again, it's just a matter of consideration.
It is.
It's just being considerate of the other person. So where can we get your book?
You can get it, well, easy online, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It is in the stores. You know, anywhere books are sold, it's probably there, I hope. But, you know, whatever is most convenient for you.
This is so great. Modern manners and etiquette expert Diane Gottsman, thank you for the great tips. I wish we had an hour-long show because we could talk about this for a much longer time. And we want to thank all of you for being with us today. We'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Karen Borda. Have a great weekend.